I want to combine both a data perspective, just based on the ecosystem report that we have done in the past that Lucas just mentioned, where we collected data from tens of thousands of companies all around the world, and we compared different ecosystems, with a more personal perspective that might be more resonating for many of you. I am a German entrepreneur. I grew up in a very little town in the south of Germany called Salem. It's at the Lake of Constance, with about 3,000 inhabitants. And while living there, I didn't know the term entrepreneur, I didn't know the term startup, I didn't know the term impact, I didn't know any of the terms that we use today very frequently in order to describe what we do. The only thing that I knew is that I cared about building things, creating things. I cared about being able to change things, to make things better. You know, after being in Germany, being in Russia, being in Bangladesh, being in different places around the world, after arriving in the valley about 5.5 years ago, the best way for me to describe the feeling I had coming here was that I came home. I came to a place where I had a lot of like-minded people. I had a lot of people that had kind of a similar mindset to me, that were interested in building things, in creating things, in having impact, in changing things to the better. And I thought the sort of best way that encapsulated that mindset was for me when I went to Mecca Fair, and this picture's from Mecca Fair, where you had all the parents educating their children in how to create things, how to build things, and it was really something that was passed on from one generation to another. It's I found a very magical place, really, for me, where I was welcome and found immediate trust with all the people around me. Where coming from Germany, where if you have a weird accent, you will have a hard time you know, being integrated in wherever you are in Germany. Coming to the valley, no one cared about how you speak. You very quickly get to know people, you very quickly build your network, you very quickly learn, and you very quickly can start to build a company. And most of all, what I took from the first few months being in the valley is perspective. The perspective of knowing that I could actually build a billion-dollar company, something that before this I never considered, I never thought of myself doing. But being here and meeting a lot of people that have either done it or that were aspiring to do it was really an inspiration for me as an entrepreneur. Now, as I came here and I started working on an education startup, on the side I built something called Startup School, where I tried to share a lot of the learnings I had from first coming here. And one of the very sort of frequent questions that people ask is, if we build a startup, should we come to the valley? Is it the place to be, or can we also build a startup anywhere else in the world? And my typical answer to this was, well, you know, you can do it anywhere in the world, but very similar to how when you choose a university, when you start to study, and you have the option between going to a local college or going to Stanford, right? You can make the choice of going to a place where you can work together with the best of the best, and you can have the best opportunities. So this is really what the Bay Area was for me. It was the best place to be in order to build a technology business. Now, after this education business, I actually started doing a research project together with people in Stanford and Berkeley, looking at why businesses fail, why they succeed, and also at looking at different ecosystems and comparing them to each other. And this is a graphic. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. If you search for it online, you'll also find it. This is a report from 2012. We'll be publishing a new one fairly soon. And what we found when we started looking at the numbers, we started looking at revenue numbers, at funding numbers, at hiring numbers, at growth numbers, at a lot of private data of a lot of startups all around the world. What we found is that that Silicon Valley still by far was the most active, the most attractive place to be for a tech entrepreneur. And not just because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, more than most of the other ecosystems together, not just because there's a lot more money, but because there's just a much more developed ecosystem where as an entrepreneur you have at each stage of your business a very wide variety of different funding sources available for different types of businesses. You have a lot of expertise and talent available that you can work with, and so forth. And we can clearly see that the Valley is standing out. Now, by the way, how's my time doing? Sorry, the timer doesn't work here. Yeah, no, it's not working. Really what we've seen is that the Bay Area as a whole has become a tech mecca, and it has become a place where people from all around the world come at least once in their life. They pilger to the Valley to meet everyone here and to learn from the best of the best. And in some way, especially in the last few years, it has evolved even more towards something where we could say it's the new Wall Street. It has become something that is beyond a place for people who want to build stuff, who want to create stuff. It has become a place for a lot of people who, look at what's sort of prestigious in your career, and they see Silicon Valley as the place to be. And it has changed very much the tone, I think, over the last 5 years since I'm here, in terms of what type of people are moving here and how the aspirations of the people who are coming here are changing. In some way, this is also scary, of course, because what you see is that the Valley is a place where you have an incredible power concentration, where single engineers service hundreds of millions of people in some cases, where their code can impact and influence hundreds of millions of people, and suddenly their moral values, their judgment has an enormous impact on the rest of the world. At the same time, what we've seen so far, though, is a lot of positive change. We've seen how the Kaufman Foundation recently showed that the vast majority of job growth so far has really come from tech companies, specifically many of them coming from the Valley, of course from all over the US and also from all over the world. What we see is that Silicon Valley and the Bay Area as a place has inspired many other ecosystems all around the world to try and build something very similar. What we're really seeing is that the Bay Area has inspired an entrepreneurial enlightenment, where it's really easy to build companies all around the world. And to some degree, what we see is that it's really not just the Bay Area as one ecosystem, but all of these places all around the world that have been inspired by the Valley and that are growing are also deeply connected with the Valley, and it's really become one big ecosystem. And what we see sort of as a last outlook in terms of what the Bay Area has inspired for all of us is a big shift, a big socioeconomic structural shift, one that connects to the panel that we just heard, where my personal prediction is that over the next 10 to 15 years, half of what today is service industry will be replaced by software. So, and this is what other people call software eating the world. So where a lot of doctors, accountants, consultants, people that do some kind of work where they need to be educated for will be replaced by software, which is going to be exciting, create a lot of prosperity, but which is also going to be very painful because a lot of people that believe have secure jobs today will lose their jobs. So That's it. That's a quick introduction to San Francisco and its impact globally. Thank you.